Welcome to today's lesson. I wanted to focus on z-scores. Here's an example that uses z-scores. Again, not always true, but frequently true. You're going to use z-scores when the question gives you two means and two standard deviations. And in this case, you can see there's a mean and a standard deviation for RDU, and there's a mean and a standard deviation for GSP. So I know z-scores are somehow going to be involved in this question. So it asked me which rainfall is more atypical. Sometimes they might ask you, which person is taller, which person is lighter, or all kinds of words they could use, but here the word is atypical, so I need to calculate z-scores for both places. Because there are usually multiple z-scores involved, I usually denote them with a subscript, so z sub r for RDU. Recall that the formula for z-score, you can use the standardize command in Excel, or you can use the z-score formula. So for Raleigh, it would be 51.25 minus 43.34 divided by their standard deviation is 2.91, which is 2.72, and you can round to two decimal places. And then we will do the same thing for Greenville-Spartanburg Airport. And theirs would look like 34.43 minus 47.19 divided by 5.77. And that gives me negative 2.21. It is perfectly okay to get a negative number for a z-score. All it tells you is that this, in this case, this airport was below the mean that year. The positive for Raleigh means that they were above the mean in that given year. So which one is more atypical would mean which one is farther from zero. And you know that 2.72 is further away from zero than negative 2.21. In some questions, you might be looking for the higher z-score. In some questions, you might be looking for the lower z-score. But in this case, we're looking for the z-score that is further away from zero. So which airport? The answer is Raleigh-Durham. It doesn't ask you to justify your answer, but frequently it does. And it's because their z-score is farther away from zero. Or again, maybe it's a higher z-score or a lower z-score, just depending upon the way the question is asked. And then usually they'll turn around and ask which one is unusual or significant. And in this unit, not going to be the same in the next unit or the third unit, in this unit, unusual or significant means it is more than two standard deviations from the mean. And in this case, both airports are more than two standard deviations from the mean. So occasionally for justification, students say, because the z-score is greater than 2. This is not quite true, because notice for Greenville-Spartanburg, that's not true. It's not that they are greater than 2, it's that they are less than negative 2. So we'll say that they're greater than 2 for Raleigh, and because their z-score is less than negative 2 for Greenville. So a nice application of z-scores, they're meant to really compare apples to oranges. How do you compare North Carolina to South Carolina's rain? We can do that with z-scores. And as always, if you've got a question, please ask your instructor.